Sorry about that, guys. I do not know what happened to the microphone, and then everything went haywire. We're back, and we're talking about the cooler air that is spilling into Central Florida. Sorry about that, guys. Cloudy in Wildwood, cloudy in Jacksonville Beach. We are going to get some sunshine back. I think this time it takes a little bit longer for us to get back into the dominant sunshine. So we're going to talk about that when it might return. And then in the second part, it's Monday. It's the long range Monday portion of the show when we are out of hurricane season. I like to look long range. So we're going to take a look at the pattern into Christmas week, see if there's any cold, see if there's any warm going forward, and we are going to break that down on the other end of the commercial break coming up in about 7 minutes. We're going to get into that long range stuff. If you like long range forecasting, I'm a big fan of it. It's obviously take it with a grain of salt, but we like to look at the clues and then see how it works out. So it's almost like a game when we're looking almost 2 weeks or so in advance. But I like to do that. It's a lot of fun. A lot of time it works out. A lot of times it doesn't. You obviously can't get specific with things like that, but nonetheless, you can pick up on some trends and some patterns and things like that. So rainfall has been awesome over the past couple of days. The two biggest areas that received the rain was pretty much right smack dab down the I-4 corridor and then right along the I-10 corridor from about Jacksonville to Pensacola into Tallahassee, just north of Cedar Key, just north of Gainesville. And then there was a little bit of rain in South Florida and then a little bit of rain in between the two. But that is where we had that setting up the two big bands of rain. And again, we got a lot of rain, certainly drought busting rain for where we have the big time drought in the Florida panhandle, waiting to see what will happen with the drought monitor to see just how much that rain, I mean, obviously it's beneficial. It didn't flood and the ground took it and all that good stuff. So we're going to keep an eye on that on Thursday. That will be on Thursday's episode of Take a Look at the drought update that is released every Thursday morning. Here is the current satellite and radar picture. So our cold front from the weekend that came down, it is now closer to the Keys into the Bahamas. If you look closely, it's kind of hard to see on this map, but there's still that gray film all the way back to about Cedar Key, maybe even into Tallahassee. So it is that cloud cover remains thick and stubborn, and we are going to keep that with us again for, I mean, a little bit going into tomorrow, although I'm calling tomorrow partly cloudy. I think there'll be breaks in the clouds at least. I don't think it's wall to wall sunshine just yet, and there could even be a little bit of fog out there. Temperatures on the chilly side, especially Gainesville and north. We're in the 40s in Jacksonville. We're in the 40s in Pensacola. It's 51 in Tallahassee. These are current temperatures right now. Tampa, we're at 66. And then Orlando checking in at 63 degrees. We're still hanging out in the low to mid 70s from Miami to West Palm to Fort Myers. So a much warmer evening into the north, or into the south, I should say. It's much colder to the north, where tomorrow we're likely waking up in the 30s in Pensacola and Tallahassee. Jacksonville will be checking in at 45 degrees. And then we're in the low 50s in Orlando, hanging around 70 in West Palm and in Miami. So certainly much, much different down in those parts. Everybody, though, even with it being warmer in South Florida, is still below normal. Everybody has a blue box. The blue box, again, if you're not familiar, represents where we have below normal temperatures. And you see that from Pensacola to Tallahassee to Jacksonville. I mean, we are way below. We're talking mid to upper 50s for highs, and then upper 60s for highs from through the I-4 corridor, and then South Florida into the low to mid 70s. Again, those are high temperatures for Tuesday, tomorrow, December 10th, as we try to get some sunshine back into the swing of things. So I wanted to show you this, kind of the resurgence, some drier air trying to come in, but this is tomorrow morning now. This is 9 o'clock in the morning. And note, we do have some breaks. We do have some breaks in the clouds. Just a few into Central Florida. Jacksonville, we're still locked in there. Gainesville, we're still locked in. I think the only spot where I'm optimistic is seeing pretty much full sun is going to be the Florida Panhandle tomorrow. So this is 9 o'clock in the morning. You see the arrows there. That represents the wind direction. That is straight up off of the Atlantic, out of the Northeast. And that continues down. There's lunchtime on Tuesday, so we're doing better. Maybe Wildwood, Lake City, Bushnell, Tallahassee, Panama City, Port St. Joe, Apalachicola, Pensacola, all the colas. we're getting sunshine back tomorrow. So that's lunchtime on Tuesday. And then high pressure gets closer. The thing of it is, look at where the cutoff line is. I still think we're keeping a mainly cloudy sky in Orlando all the way to Tampa, all the way into Miami and Fort Lauderdale and the Keys. There's just going to be a little area carved out of sunshine, so it's going to at least feel a little more pleasant the further north and west you get through the Florida Panhandle. I showed this to you guys on Friday, but I wanted to show it to you again in case you missed the show or just really like sunshine. I want to reiterate, this is just for fun, that you're really not going to notice it yet. But starting today is Monday, our sunsets start to get a little later in the evening, of course. That's when the sun sets. If the sun was setting in the morning, we'd probably have a pretty big problem. So the sunset now goes from 5:28, our earliest sunset, to now 5:29. The sunset tonight at 5:29 in the Orlando area. I want to be clear about one thing, though, that the daylight is still decreasing. So we are still losing daylight until the winter solstice, until the first day of winter. That is going to be on December 21st. After December 21st, so on December 22nd, we do start gaining daylight as a whole, albeit just a couple of seconds. Okay, so it's going to take a while to pull out of the darkness. And then, of course, the time change gets us there even further. But it's a step in the right direction if you are a fan of more sunlight. Anyway, all right, wanted to leave you with that. Coming back, we are going to look at the long range and try to dissect the long range pattern getting into Christmas week. Could be a little wild leading up to Christmas weather-wise across the country. We're going to take a look at what that pattern has in store in just about 3 minutes. Alrighty, guys, welcome back to News 6 Live, Weather Live at 9:30. We are going to get into some of the long-range forecast. Of course, Christmas is coming up. We're going to get into Christmas week, the days leading up to that. This is going to be a countrywide thing, a countrywide look anyway, what the overall weather pattern could be as we get into the first couple of days of Christmas week. So that's going to be that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, leading up to Christmas. What is that, Thursday? Of December 25th, obviously. We're going to check up on all of that in just a second. I want to get you to the other weather computer here. Whoops, wrong button. I'm all over the place tonight. Let me stop that music. We're going to take you right here. This is where I want to go. This is our other weather computer. And this is going to be, this is the ensembles. We talked about ensembles a lot during hurricane season as the best thing to kind of look at because it takes different things and it kind of irons out the extremes a little bit. And it helps to kind of dissect the overall pattern. So this is going to be through, I got to change. This is from the afternoon run. I need to go back to the morning run. I was just looking at just some different things during the commercial break here. But this is going to be the European ensemble here. And we're just going to kind of get right to it. Well, this is going to be for the 11th, so December 11th. So this is coming up in a few days. So we're just going to start there, actually. We have this giant bowling ball action, and that's what's going to keep us on the cooler side. That big upper low is going to continue to drive some relatively cooler air into Florida for the next couple of days. You'll see the 7-day forecast. We're pretty much in the upper 60s and lower 70s for at least the next 7 to 8 days in Central Florida. And as we take it out towards the middle of December, this is now December 14th to December 15th, a lot of warmth building here. So what we have going on is their jet streams kind of like this. So there's this big upper low here keeping the Northeast and New England cool. But there's this gigantic ridge kind of building right in the nation's midsection, and that's going to dominate. It looks like that's going to be the case. That's going to be through December 15th. So again, you start thinking about if you're traveling or going anywhere else, or if you happen to be tuning in from one of the colder states tonight, because we do get a lot of people tuning in from out of state. There become some big concerns leading up to that for potential white Christmas, because you see this here, all the orange represents higher than normal heights in the atmosphere, which would be warmer than normal temperatures at the surface. So you can kind of see it, again, coming in like this. There's a little dip out here. And again, this is just the average. So we're talking colder out here, certainly warmer in that direction, and then colder towards the British Columbia, southern Canada. All right, so let's go out as far as the ensemble will allow. This is what we're talking about. There's not very, at least in this run, this is the European ensemble, we kind of have a west-east flow, which would promote warmer than normal temperatures. So if that were to come into fruition, it should be pretty quiet across Christmas. We're going to look at the AI version of that, and it kind of shows the same thing. The GFS ensemble, did I not pull up the GFS ensemble? It is a little more aggressive with the ridge out west. So this is going to be something to watch, because if we do see a ridge building here, notice all the blue up here, that would have a better shot to kind of slide down into the southeast corner of the U.S. And this is, again, through December 22nd. This is actually through the afternoon of December 23rd. So Festivus for those who celebrate. So at 3 different models right now, there appears to be, and again, this is something that we're going to watch, and we'll check in with this forecast again next Monday to see if there's any kind of change. It's something that I've had my eye on for a while. But if this ridge sharpens up, like right now it's kind of like this, if it sharpens up a little bit, warmth surges here, cold surges down in here. But it looks like at this time anyway, it's going to want to try to be kind of mellow. Now, one of the things that I'm showing you right here, this is the Arctic oscillation. So a lot of times you hear about the polar vortex. This is what tracks the stability of the tropospheric polar vortex, okay? When it's negative, so here's our positive line. There's our line that we're focused on. And notice as we get towards the end of the period, here's December 15th. That's going to take it out to about the 22nd. It's positive. That little black line is positive. Most of the red lines, the ensembles, would indicate it being positive too. There are a few that are super negative, and if that came into fruition, then all heck would break loose. So it's going to be something to watch. But if that were to stay in play, a positive Arctic oscillation would favor a strong polar jet stream, which would mean the core of the cold stays bottled up across the northern tier of the country and really doesn't visit us down here in the southeast corner of the United States. So a couple of things to watch right now. I am thinking that for Florida anyway, I think it's a little more, it's a little on the hazy side because I do think there's going to be a blast of cold coming in leading up to Christmas in the Northeast. Does it make it here? That's the question. Like the last one, like that we're kind of dealing with right now, our little ridge of high pressure is kind of pushing everything back up. We're cool, no doubt, but it's kind of saved us from the gigantic blast of colder air. So with a positive Arctic oscillation like that, that might keep the big time cold away from Florida for Christmas. So something that I'm watching. All righty, guys, coming up in just a couple of minutes, we are going to go over some of the stuff in case you missed it. And if I can get the comments to load, we will take some questions. See you in 3 minutes, guys. Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Post in the comments if you have any questions. Just getting to them now. Melissa, that is because it's not using your house as a data point because your house isn't supplying us with any data. So it's using the nearest point. That's going to be the airport. So it was raining at the airport. So just because it says it's raining over you and it's not raining, it's because the data is coming in from its closest official observing site, and that would be at the airport. So that's why it does that, because it's got to have a data point with an actual observing site. And again, your house doesn't provide us any data, so that would be why you get that for sure. You got it, Kimberly. Hey Jennifer, how's it going? Hope you're doing well in Jacksonville. Yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties earlier. I don't know what the heck happened. Golfing Ferdy got an inch and a half of rain last night at 1 a.m. Thank you for the report. Yeah, there was some good rain over the weekend. Man, it was wild through like the I-4 corridor, right where we showed you before those rainfall reports. So go back to that in case you missed the top of the show. But some very nice rain. I'm very interested to see what this is going to do to the drought monitor that comes out on Thursday. So you better believe that we are going to check up on the drought monitor coming up on Thursday to see what this rain did. That's why I was like check up on that after we get the rain to see how the soil took it. So Kimberly is asking which is a stronger effect to push cold, Denver, Texas low, or the jet stream. Let me try to bring up a map where I can draw on it to show you what that does. Let me see here. Let me go back. So when you have a Texas low, call them Texas hookers or Colorado lows. But they kind of swing out of a dip in the jet stream like this. So like whenever I lived in Minnesota, I always loved to see the lows developing right here because the jet stream was like this, because that means that we got dumped on with snow as the low worked its way up in this direction. So essentially, the jet stream is always involved in this stuff. So when you get the Colorado lows or the Texas hookers, you get a dip in the jet stream rolling down the coast of California. The low forms out here and then goes in that direction. That would help to pull the warmth up. And that's also what helps to give like the deep south some severe weather. So that would bring the warmth up. But the jet stream is always involved in that stuff. You always get the upper low, then you get the surface low to develop as it kind of crosses the Rockies. Those are my mountains. Dip in the jet stream there, then you get the low, the zip, or zip. Those are fun. Those are fun. And that is why the plains are also the blizzard capital of the United States, because there's nothing there. You get the strong storms cranking up there. You get all the warm, moist air sliding up from the Gulf. The baroclinicity, as we call it, the difference in temperature helps to fuel that. So you have the crazy cold screaming out of Canada, and then you have that same storm kind of ripping up the warm, moist Gulf air. And then that's where you get the big, big blizzards in the Midwest, in the northern plains, in the Great Lakes sometimes, and then you get some strong storms in the south, maybe as far to the south as Florida sometimes. So the jet stream's always involved. So to answer your question, it is yes, both of them. Alrighty, guys, that's about it for tonight. Thank you so much for the questions. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this evening. Hope everybody got a little bit of a picture of the long range. We're going to keep an eye on that day by day, and we'll probably touch on that outside of Long Range Monday as well, just because we're kind of looking toward Christmas and New Year's and a lot of people traveling. So we'll probably have like maybe a little nugget on a nightly basis, a little nugget of long range embedded in and all that stuff. You should be able to the chat is working. The chat is always fired up on YouTube, so you should always be able to get in there to do that. So yeah, tomorrow's Trivia Tuesday, so I'm working on a question as we speak. But yeah, whenever that question comes, you can post it in the comments. I should be able to make the poll as well in the chat. But yeah, whenever that time comes, just post it right on in the comments, and then we can look at that as well. Alrighty, guys, I'll see you tomorrow at 9:30. Trivia Tuesday on the show. And then, of course, we'll talk about when these clouds finally get out of here in the Sunshine State. Not very sunny today. See you at 10. New 6 at 10. We're going to have the latest on the cooler air spilling in down the Florida Peninsula tonight. See you in a couple of minutes, guys. Thanks a ton for being here on this Monday evening.